If you're interested in seeing what it really takes to do a scope of work on a rental property, thought you might be interested in checking out this one. So this is the rental property I just closed on not quite a week ago, and I've done the scope of work, and I did my inspections and my walkthroughs and all that, but I thought I'd take you on a little tour and show you the scope of work that I developed for this one and go through some numbers. So here we go. All right, so be patient with me. Not much of a videographer. So this little house, not quite 1,000 square feet. I think Victor and I keep mixing this one up with the one we're working on across town. So I've got to double check my square footage, but this one is somewhere around 1,000 square feet maybe. And so initial stage of any project is you have to take into consideration what the demolition is going to be. And this house, believe it or not, I know it looks rough, but it's not that terrible. And here's the first couple of things you look at. You look at the flooring, and the flooring is rough. You can see where they've pulled up carpet here. You've got carpet nails where they took up the carpet and left the strips. But the big thing, number one, is you look at the box, right? And this box is relatively new, right? So that's number one. If your electrical has been updated, then that's one of your big safety issues that's already been taken care of. So we know that that's okay. I also had my electrician go over it, and he says it's all right. And our floors are sound. There's no subfloor issues. There's no soft spots. There's nowhere where somebody's gonna be walking through here and be in danger of going through into the crawl space downstairs. It looks bad because you've got spots like that. That's just dirt, because that's one of the first things we check for. Had my roofer go through. There was a leak at some point, but that leak's been patched years ago. They just never bothered to fix the ceiling. And when you're doing an inspection, that water is one of the things you look for. But if I wanted to, or if I had to, I could come through here, throw in some cheap carpet, get some kills, which is one of my favorite things. Kills can fix a lot. Throw in some cheap carpet, put in some mini splits, kills, paint, clean up some cabinets, clean up that bathroom, and I could rent it. That's not my style, but it can be done, and I know lots of people that do that. That's the lipstick on a pig version. Now, here's my personal philosophy. I want to bring these properties up in value. That would do a little bit, wouldn't do much. And long-term, you'd be wasting your money because you would not be able to repair the mini splits. And as soon as those go out, you'd have to replace them. And eventually this floor is going to have to be dealt with, right? You'd be putting carpet on top of this low-quality subfloor crap. And you have had some leaks in the past, so you might as well get up here and deal with that roof once and for all. And while the box was updated, it really doesn't carry enough amperage to deal with heat and air. So we are going to have to increase the amperage to handle an HVAC. An HVAC you can repair. So we're doing that. Okay, so there's my 2 cents on that. So while we're in here, and we're going to be opening some walls to deal with ductwork, and we're going to be increasing amperage, so we are opening walls. We're going to go ahead and demo all the walls and put in insulation, right? Couple things. You hear the way my voice echoes in here. Adding insulation not only will help with the way the house feels, it will help with how a tenant handles power bills. That will help with how it appeals to tenants, and it will help long-term with the value of the property. Appraisers love to see that you have upgraded insulation. That's the kind of thing that an appraiser eats up, right? We're not going to do the windows These have had relatively decent screens and storm windows put in them. So being able to keep these windows is something that we're gonna do, right? Appraisers love new windows, but we're gonna do a deep clean on these. We're gonna sand, seal, kills these windows. And because of those storm windows that are intact, we don't even have to replace those. If the windows were in bad shape, we would replace those. But a new window now costs about $750 a pop. So if you can manage without replacing windows, that's a big plus. All right, so first step is demo. We're gonna go down, pull down all this paneling and get the walls open. Have a dumpster dropped out here. It'll go right there in that side yard. So a dumpster is gonna get dropped, and we have $5,000 budgeted for demo. That dumpster is gonna have to include all of the old sheetrock, all of the insulation that is up in the attic, because we're pulling down the ceilings too. Since we're in here, we're pulling down ceilings. We know we're gonna have all the old dirty insulation, and it's always full of rodent nesting and byproducts. that's just how that goes. So we are keeping the tub and the tub surround, but everything else in this bathroom is gonna go, right? We're getting rid of the vanity so that we can double check and make sure that our plumbing is sound, which, oh boy, the plumbing, believe it or not, is relatively new, and we've been up under the house. And so the plumbing is PVC. That's a godsend. A lot of time in these old houses, you've got cast iron, which is not fun to deal with. So $5,000 for the demolition. And that includes the labor, it includes the dumpsters, it includes the haul-off fees, the dump fees, that's 100%. That's 2 guys working for about 3 days, and everything that's included in that, that's all in, all right? So there's that, that's number 1. Number 2, roof. There's kind of an art to doing a scope of work. Let me get out here and I'll show you the roof. When you write a scope of work, you want to include, ooh, look at there. Let's see, a little stink button for you. Can you see him? There, yep. There's kind of an art to doing a scope of work because you want to be inclusive, but you don't want to be so detailed that you've locked yourself into something that you can't change. So here's what I mean by that. This roof is relatively sound. Ugly as sin, all right? That's an old metal roof. That's an old, I think it's 10. But other than one patched place, there's old Mr. Rooster. Other than one patched place up near where that chimney is, on the other side of that ridge, it's actually in pretty good shape. So this roof can probably be pressure washed and sealed, which is a couple $1,000s. Right? However, I have an $8,500 budget for the roof and the gutters, which means if I need to, I can come in here and replace the roof, new gutters, new whatever. Do I want to? Well, maybe. Ultimately, if a few years down the road, if I need to, I can. If I have to do it now, I can, right? I saw that dog. He's been put up. I don't have to worry about him right now. And I'm not going near the poison ivy patch. Now, if I don't have to spend the $8,500 on the gutters, the rest of the money goes back into the budget as contingency. Now, we've also been in that crawl space. It's full of glass jars. Why? I don't know. You find so much stuff in crawl spaces that makes no flipping sense. I'm gonna hire my 16-year-old and his friends to put on some protective gear and get up under there, because they'll do it for $15 an hour. And if I have to pay the crawl space vapor barrier guys to do it, they'll tack on about $40 an hour. Vapor barrier, $2,000. Do I have to? No. but appraisers love it. That's something that shows up on the other side. All right, gutters with leaf guards. Obviously, we got to fix that. Number one rule of property management: control water and water flow. I gotta pause and look at my scope of work. I forgot what I put in here for this porch. Hang on. Okay, I remembered. I have $3,200 to get the roof back up on that porch and to repair the back porch, that little deck that fell down. Also, I included $12,000 to do the new sheetrock in the house, which includes the ceiling and the walls. I also put $3,000 to do the framing because we only need one little wall from here to here, right? And a closet boxed in the front room, and something here. I'm not entirely sure what we're gonna do here, but something here to be a closet. So there's that. I included $12,000 for the HVAC system because that's gonna be all the ducting and the electrical upgrade, because the HVAC guy also does the electrical work because he's just the best there is. And let's see, $3,200 for the bathroom, including the plumbing, because the plumbing guy is the one that does all of that, including whatever needs to happen here, although that's pretty much done. $7,000 I included in the kitchen, although most of what needs to be done in here is actually included in other estimates, because the paint is kind of wrapped up in the $12,000 for the sheetrock. I just included extra because you always have to account for contingencies. And I had $3,500 for appliances, although we actually are not gonna need a whole lot. We are gonna need a stove and a refrigerator and an oven. I'm not entirely sure how we're gonna deal with whatever situation this is. We may just do a standalone thing, somewhere here. I don't know. We'll figure that out. We do have a washer dryer hookup here, which I gotta make sure that that's sound. I'll have the electrician check it. It is not typical here for a washer and dryer to be included for a landlord to include those. The hookups, yes. The machines, no. We do include stove, refrigerator, and oven, but not the washers and dryers. So that's something that we don't do. We don't also typically now pay utilities. That was a thing in the past, but over the past few years, that's kind of dropped off due to, I've got some stories about that. When I first bought the 12 unit, that was my third property. It was a 12-unit apartment building. And I have some nightmares about paying for water and sewer on that one before I figured out that wasn't a thing that we needed to keep doing. Hang on, I want to check the scope real quick. Hang on. Oh, actually, I did add $4,500 in addition for electrical. Just because that's one of those things that can sneak up on you. And it's better safe than sorry. I added $5,000 to run a driveway because you can see here, a long time ago, there was a curb cut, and that's the concrete. Oh, hello, kitty. Hi, kitty, kitty, kitty. There was probably a carport there at some time. Oh, two kitties. So I put $5,000 in for a driveway. That's probably one of the first things that would go if we go over budget on something. But it'd be great if I could go ahead and do it now. And I have $1,500 to do the double front doors, because the style of door that I like, I think I paid, I don't remember, $800, maybe $750, $800 for the last pair of doors that I bought that were kind of an upgrade. Makes a huge difference on the front of this house, the way they look. If you put really good, high quality doors, massive curb appeal. And I think the $3,200 for the porch included some minor landscaping. It wasn't huge, But cutting in a little bit of flower beds. Around here we can use azaleas, which are evergreen and very low maintenance, and they bloom and they're very nice. You can do those with some mulch. Looks like $1 million and you don't have to mess with it. And you can get them in contractor packs. So you do have some, it looks very welcoming and polished, but you're not having to do lots. And it gives that curb appeal thing. So I do have also a contingency budget of about 10%, which is about $8,000. You have to have contingencies. You can't get away from it. And not having a contingency will bite you in the butt every single time. If you get to the end of your project, and I have padded almost every one of my numbers. I get the number I think I'm going to spend, I add 10%. If you get to the end of your budget and you've got extra money, that's where you go ahead and think, I'm going to go ahead and replace that roof now because I can. I'm going to go ahead and put that driveway in now because I can. I'm going to go ahead and, like here, I'm going to go ahead and replace these dinky little columns. I'm going to go ahead and make them, a 6x6 column. I'm going to go ahead and replace this decking on this porch, which is okay. It could last a few more years, but what if I do it now? I'll go ahead and run a concrete sidewalk because I can. There's all kinds of places you can go ahead and spend some money if you've got it. But if you don't plan on it and you need it, that's when you get in trouble, right? So I have a little formula that I use, and I'm trying to get it ready for y'all. I can't work the stupid those landing page doohickeys where you go to a thing and then you can download a form. I can't work those. I'm gonna have to bribe one of my kids to do it for me because I just am not tech savvy. But I have a formula that I use to evaluate a property, and then depending on the condition of the property and how much rehab I've done to it, I have a margin for the rents as to whether it's 10, 20, 30, or 40% margin on the rent, and then the difference between the rent and the what I call the pity payment, which is the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And the more margin you can get between your rent and the pity payment, then the more work you might or might not have to do in the future. I love it when all my work's been done and I know I'm not gonna have to fix anything for a while. So the other property that I did in this neighborhood was a nearly identical layout. So that's the one that gave me so much confidence in what to do with this one. So I know what this one's gonna appraise for already because I did this nearly identical footprint last year. So I've got all my numbers down. I know what it costs. I know what it's gonna appraise for. I've got a lot of confidence in this property. I just already know. I've already done it. I did it 3 blocks that way. Anyway, I'm trying to get all that together for you. So that's kind of the scope on this property. I know what needs to be. Oh, look here, y'all. Got a CD you want to play? Is that what that is? I think so. It's too bad it's not an 8-track player. Got a phone call and I lost my place. Anyway, I was talking about doing a scope of work. What it boils down to is really getting a handle on what stuff costs. And the best way to do that is to make a billion phone calls. You figure out what the cost is on a particular item per square foot. I keep a massive spreadsheet at home, and I've got what does a drywall project cost per square foot on average in my area? What does a roofing project cost on average? What does an HVAC cost for a certain size of property? If it's a 2-ton, 2.5-ton, 3-ton, how much does it cost to do a 1,500 square foot property, a 2,000 square foot property? How much does it cost to do a new roof? What if it's got 2 stories? Because that price goes up if it's high. What if it's, what if it's got so many, angles? What if it's got so much slope? Those all affect the price. And some of it is a little bit of experience. How much do windows cost each? I just happen to know that that's what they are because I've been pricing windows lately. And some of it comes with experience, but some of it, you can just get on the phone and make some phone calls and pull estimates. And some of it, you know, you can do by talking to contractors. And you never take one contractor's estimate. I don't care who it is. You call multiple contractors. You get your bids in writing. You get detailed estimates. You're gonna do exactly what? You're gonna haul off all the equipment. You're gonna haul off all the demo. You're gonna clean up when the project's done. You're gonna put in what kind of door. You're gonna frame it in, and you're gonna, you know, do X amount of work. You want every single bit of it, and you want all the estimates from multiple contractors, and then you compare them. What exactly is on this bid? How come this other guy didn't say that? Should you go back and ask what the first one meant? Yes, you should. Should you get it all in writing? Absolutely. And do you make deposits? Probably. Do you pay them up front? Hell no, you do not. However, do you pay them well? Yes. And if you find a good one, you better believe it. So there you go. I mean, when you do a scope of work, download it. Run it through AI. I take 1 million pictures now. I go into a property and I will take 1 billion pictures from every angle, and I will load it up into AI, into multiple AI models. And I will say, help me evaluate this. What am I looking for? Do I still rely on contractors and inspectors? Yes, 100%. But does AI help me see what to look for? Yes, it does. One of the most fun things, actually, look here. You can walk in to AI and upload pictures, and you can take pictures like here, and AI will help you look at the size of a room based on the width of boards and the ratios of a building, and it'll help you determine the age of a structure based on certain features. This one I just happen to know because I grew up in Appalachia, and I just know that most of these buildings are supposed to have a double front door. But when I loaded this one up into my AI, the one that I use most of the time, it also spit out, did you know this is supposed to have 2 front doors? And I'm like, why, yes, I did. Why don't you tell me more about that? And it also spit out, this is probably a Sears kit house. And I was hoping it would give me a model number. It didn't, but it told me where to look for model numbers. It might be from Montgomery Ward. Anyway, I'm gonna nerd out on the history of that. So anyway, there's 1 million ways now, especially, that you can start to pull together your resources and protect yourself and be prepared. You just not walking in blind to any of these projects anymore. And I know it's scary to do these, and you feel like you don't know anything. And you're not ever going to be 100% ready for the first one. Hey, I'm not ready for the 11th one. And we've got 11 properties, and depending on how you configure some of the quads and duplexes, and so, you know, we got like 30 units. And I still find stuff all the time that I didn't know that was coming. And the big thing is never think you know everything. That's the biggest. Be prepared to learn and to know that as soon as you think you don't, as soon as you think you know everything, that's when you should get scared. So anyway, there we go. Scope of work on this little house. That's what we're looking to do. I think I'm gonna look at showing y'all some of the before and afters on some of the other properties that we've done coming up, if I can find some of that footage. I'm really proud of the work that we do. I'm proud that the neighbors around here, that their property values will go up because of the work that we do here. That makes me hold my head up. I don't ever want to be the jerk that goes in there and has a crappy flip, and so everybody else's comps go down in value. I want to be the one that raises the neighborhood up, and anybody else that's a flipper, y'all can come at me and tell me I'm stupid, but at the end of the day, I can take a look at your tax return, and I'll come at you for what you missed. So there we go. I'm proud of what I do and I like the way I do it. So if you got questions, ask me. If you got comments, make it nice. And I will come back and probably show you when we're ready to tackle the demo, because that's when it starts to get really fun.